Well, Jim, it's great to see you. Before we go into too much detail on Saturday's game, first match back at Edgeley Park in 168 days since Barnet in March. How did it feel? Obviously there was no fans. How did it feel to be back on the touchline again?
Oh, good, but we've been training there, you see, for a couple of weeks part-time before we moved into Carrington, so it wasn't an unfamiliar setting for me, but yeah, it was nice for the lads to be out on Edgeley Park. Don't get me wrong, it was a great little occasion having a game here, but there it kind of gives you a feel a little bit more, you know, the officials, the whole stands and everything, just makes it feel a bit more match real.
Obviously it was our first time playing at an empty Edgeley Park as well. I mean, how big of an impact do you think that could have on the players? Obviously we're looking at a reduced capacity for the start of the season. Do you think that makes a difference?
I don't know, we'll have to find out. Obviously it might make a difference for the away team because we've got the energy that comes from the fans, and there's a lot of talk about how well away teams are doing in this sort of environment. I think as long as the players just go about their business, it's like when you play at Edgeley Park or any other ground with 300 fans or Wembley, you've got to really concentrate on not on the occasion, on the game. It's just a shame that we don't have that occasion on match day with the fans. I mean, everybody's excited to see this team and the start of this new journey, so just disappointed we don't get that occasion around it, but I'm sure that the players will be very much focused on the game.
Talking about the game, another one against League One opposition, but for large parts of the game there wasn't too much between the two sides. We certainly grew into the game as it went on. How do you feel it went?
I think if you'd asked me after the game, I would have been a little bit more emotional and frustrated and disappointed, because I thought it was a game where if we had taken our chances, been a bit tidier on the ball, we could have got something out of the game, you know, because no matter what you want to get out of the games in terms of fitness or tactics or team bonding or whatever, you still want your team to be able to, no matter how they feel about themselves fitness wise or how they feel about themselves technically, still be able to grind out a performance and a result. And I think that the results don't hurt people at this stage, but the results are a reflection of things that you're doing in terms of giving possession away, giving opportunities away. But there was things in the game that I thought was really pleasing. Some players look a little bit sharper. It was nice to have Jordan Williams. It was nice to have Harvey. It was nice, if you like, for everybody to get a good run out. But for me personally, I think what the players are crying out for at the moment is a kind of a playing identity, a kind of a real dynamic about what we're about. I think we're struggling between being possession based and using the ball effectively. We seem to lose confidence at different stages. We get a bit scruffy, and then we kind of go a little bit more where we don't play. And I'm a little bit behind that because I'm worried about the sloppiness of the way we're playing at the moment, and therefore you have to maybe just be a little bit more direct and play the game in their half. And I think that we've got to strike that balance at the moment, because we're not going to, no matter what people think about the game of football, it's not about the scoreline isn't dictated by your possession, the amount of passes you have. It's about what you do with the ball and how effective you are. And that's where our players have to understand the value of possession, but the value of penetration, and find the real good balance in for our strengths and also for this level.
Does it make it difficult in that sense that, in a way, pre-season fixtures are kind of the other way around this year? You're playing the stronger teams first, so you're trying to implement this possession style of play, but you're playing against the tougher teams. Does that affect your planning? Yeah,
of course, yeah. You bang on with that statement, because like what normally you build up so people can make little sloppy errors and you're not getting punished, or you can establish good possession against the weaker sides, and then you can get all your attacking dynamics going off and the lots of rewards. But yeah, this time round, because of the late start in the National League, we're kind of having to do it flip round, and because they're starting earlier, it's not even a fair measure. It's hard enough playing against League One sides and League Two sides like Salford, but they're already 3 weeks ahead of us. But it's great for them because they're obviously getting a workout in a stadium against a professional outfit. But for us, it's kind of like where you're biting your lip and wish we could get an opportunity to play these teams when it's a little bit more of a level playing field. But all we're looking for at the moment is just for players to creep up the minutes. We've done an assessment of the lads as we go into this final week of this prep period, just to see where they are in their overall fitness, where they're feeling, match readiness, match sharpness, and they're all, we can see it, and they're also scoring a little bit lower than where we want to be when we play league sides. But we have to remember we're 5 weeks away from the start of the season. We've got a good base, we've got a good group of players, Now I've got to just do my work on a training pitch to make them a team, get them organised, get some really strong principles, get some layers to our tactics to make it difficult for teams to stop us. And then the staff have to look at upping the scores to full match fitness, to full match sharpness, tidying up the techniques, and that's an exciting process that we're going to have here at Carrington over the next 6 weeks. And I think by the time the season kicks off, we'll be in A1 form, I think.
You made 5 changes to the starting 11 on Saturday. One of them was Jordan Williams. He only played 25 minutes, but it was a really impressive cameo down that left-hand side. How do you think he did, and how's he settling in his first week?
Yeah, but what I said to the lads in the changing room before the game was that that when we play Fleetwood, they're kind of the first game, everybody thinking the pecking order's established. I wanted to give the 5 or 6 first team players that start the second half against Fleetwood the opportunity to start, and that was the likes of James Jennings and obviously we get Sam Minahan out, but Adam Thomas come in, Jordan Keane come in, Niall Bell came in, so they all got a start because they need to feel that they've got a real opportunity to be a starting player. They're all in the squad, they all want to be the 16, but every one of them, whether it's their ego, the spirit, or the whole sense of self-worth, they need to feel they've got a real opportunity to play, and so I put that out there for them. So that was the thinking behind the changes. But with Jordan and Harvey, I didn't get an opportunity to speak to you guys beforehand, so when you commentate you don't realise what we're thinking. But we had a sub for the first half because the intention was when the water break came that we'd be able to do a transition from one left footer for another left footer. Yeah, but I was really impressed with Jordan. I think he's a little bit further along than we probably expected, but that's just his natural overall condition, his natural athleticism. He looks a real player. We'll be looking to up his minutes. I think he's going to be a really important player for us. Harvey surprisingly scored quite high for a quarter of a game, so he's probably a little bit further down. We have to manage his minutes a little bit, but it's going to give us a slightly different dynamic in midfield. We've got your Maynards and your Keanes, and you've got your right footers like Rooney and your Conor Jennings, but it just gives us that natural balance. So it's nice to have them involved. But if you had Harvey and Jordan it now looks like a 16 to 17 man squad that could easily be any 11 really, and we're going to need that because the game's going to come thick and fast. Last year we had inconsistencies when people went flat, people got injured, people were missing. I think those inconsistencies will be ironed out. What we have to do is just make sure every single one of them is ready for the first game of the season.
You mentioned Harvey a bit there. The club announced the morning of the game that he'd signed a short-term deal at Edgeley Park. What can you tell us about Harvey and what you feel he'll bring to the team?
Well, a part of our squad, outline squad, we looked at sort of an ideal squad, and this is an old practice of mine, of a 20-man squad where you have layers and depth. Now, it's very easy to say you want 2 for every position, but you want to have a kind of we're not sure about the level of subs that would be allowed this year. I'm assuming we're going to have 5 and 3 from those 5, but you need to have some depth in your group for fatigue. So we're looking for an ideal 20, and within that group we have like the holding midfielder, the right midfielder, the left midfielder, the kind of a attacking midfielder from deep, and then the type of split striker. But we've got Connor in there, we've got John Rooney, we've got Lois, we've got thingy, but we've not got a left footer, so that gives us a natural balance. It was really important that we brought Jordan in, so we had some pace and power and penetration down the left. And also what Jordan and Harvey bring to the group is that technical ability, not just for open play, passes and crosses and finishes, but also for set plays, and that's something that's going to be really important. You've seen when we play Fleetwood here, the right foot outswing corner is not as effective. Last year set plays were really important for us. We minimised what we conceded and maximised what we scored, and that was probably the difference between also many teams and us finishing in the top 7, 8 and not being in the bottom 7 or 8 is because of the strength we had on set plays. We'll all remember Wrexham and Dagenham, Ebbsfleet, all the goals that we scored for late on from corners. So that's got to be a really important part of it, and those players bring that balance to the team in terms of playing style, but also in terms of the set plays.
You've touched on it a few times already. There's so many options in the team at the minute, and you look at some of the players that played in the second half on Saturday: Richie Bennett, Alex Reid coming off the bench. That must give you a selection headache. Do you have a starting 11 in mind for the start of the season, or is it a work in progress?
Yeah, I think we have, like I said, this next 3 or 4 weeks, because what's going to be interesting for everybody is like who gets what number and what does that say, therefore you sort of like, do you give respect to the players that have 2, 5, 6, wherever it might be, or do you then say this pre-season is about establishing, because sometimes a manager sets out his best 11 by the shirt selection, if you like. But that would be a disservice to some players. I mean, when we were champions 2 years ago, that final game, we didn't have any shirt numbers, but that final game at Nuneaton, of those 16 players involved, we had 14 that were involved in the first game. That was a tighter squad. And that was probably a misdemeanor because Jamie Stott couldn't play in that final game. But it was very much about the group serving us all the way through. I remember starting off the promotion season in 96-97, and I was left out the side because Dave Jones had given the number 6 shirt to Matty Bound, a left-footed centre half. He preferred a left instead of myself. But after 3 or 4 games I was in and played 63 games that season, and we got promoted and got to the League Cup semi-final. So our players shouldn't see it as the number meaning anything. It's you're part of a squad. The best team gets selected for the next game, and if you're performing well in training, performing well in matches, you're going to stay in. You want selection headaches in a sense, and there's always going to be those cliche. He doesn't know his best team, but what's going to be really important, I think, this season, especially whether it be the impact of a long layoff for players, or whether it be the impact of several games in a short period. We've seen the fatigue element of January when the likes of Niall Bell looked like he couldn't do 30 minutes and Elliot Osborne couldn't get 45 minutes. So we know we're going to use all the players, but what's really important is that we have 3 players on the bench that you can put on, and the standard's going to stay the same, and then if they score they get to start. I mean, we've had that process all the way through, and in certain areas of the pitch, especially in, if you like, the side defensive positions, we've got Adam and Tam, we've got Mark, and up front we've got 4 great central strikers, and then you got add into that Connor, so we've got some real good strength and depth, and it's really in the most important areas where, if you like, you need to make changes and you need to freshen players up. So in that sense, I'm really happy with the squad at the moment. I think we're only looking for maybe 1 or 2 more players that might just give us a real comfort of the full width and depth that we want. But if we were to go in with this 17 or 18 players, I'd be perfectly fine with that. If we trimmed our 18 down, I always look at it from the point of view, if it wasn't 20, it was 18, I'd be happy with the 18 we've got now going into the games. Obviously we need to secure the second keeper, and a decision's got to be made on that, and then we've got to decide on how much players we have in terms of developing to come good in future. But for me, I'm kind of happy with the 18 that's shaping up now to be not just the start of the season, but from now to the start of the season we've got 5-6 weeks to work with.
Obviously Sam Minahan missed out on the game through injury, which saw Liam Hogan moved out to the right side of the back 4. Is that something we could see more of as the season goes on? Is it a position he's comfortable with?
Well, one of the positions that we're missing in that ideal 20 is another option down the right. If you consider what we have down the left in terms of Mark Kitchen, James Jennings and Jordan Williams, you've got 3 for 2. And then down the right we haven't really got that. We've experimented in training with Conor Jennings playing out there, but then you're losing something central. So something off the right, if there was one player that I'd be looking for, or we are looking for, is something different down the right. I think Adam could fill in at right back if we need him to, or Hogan can. So that's the versatility that you have with players that can maybe play inside or outside or back or forward. But yeah, as it happened on Saturday, then you're asking centre-halves like Jordan Down or Paul Turnbull to fill in at right back, and that's not the ideal. But but I think Sam would be fine. But yeah, it's an option on the right. We don't want 2 right backs. We don't want 2 players on the wing that look the same. We're looking for something maybe different than Adam Thomas, somebody that maybe's got a bit more pace, a bit more creativity off the flank, and if we can find that type of player, then we've got all the bases covered. So they're the 1 or 2 things that Simon and the collection of scouts and ourselves are looking at, and that's a work in progress. But if we bring them in, then happy days, because we're going to have tremendous depth throughout the group. But at the moment, I think we're probably going to leave Sam out of Tuesday's game. And this is the thing with Sam. Sam is the highest performer statistically at the thing, and you have to be careful about managing the load on the players. Now, what he's got before Nick jumps on my case and says it's we've managed his loading, but that's he's had a historical injury with his hips, and I think that between Sam and myself and Luke, we felt, well, let's conservatively manage that and make sure that if he sits out this week and he starts full time next week after the bank holiday weekend, then he'll be disappointed. He won't want to lose his place, and he won't want us to be getting concerned about the depth on that side and bringing someone in to challenge him. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, it does remind you of little holes in the group. So good question, but it's something that I think that we'll not have a problem with come start of the season.
Salford up next tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon I should say. Again, it's another tough game against a side that you would have thought would be pushing for promotion to League One this season. What sort of challenge are you expecting from them, and what are you hoping to see from the players?
In terms of how they stand next to Fleetwood and Rochdale, I think Fleetwood are by far the best side. I haven't played Salford yet, but Fleetwood, they're at the top end of the League One stroke, pushing for Championship. Rochdale, Brian are clearly they're wanting to build, develop players and stay in that league. And if they can challenge a little bit better than that, then great. You could argue that Salford, financially and playing-wise, have actually got a stronger squad. And the other thing about Salford would be that they'll have more men, they'll have more bigger players, they'll have a stronger selection of physical tactics. I mean, just a little side story, I was saying to the likes of Dave, who does his normal warm-up with the defenders and it's lots of heading, I said, you're better off doing something different moves today, because they're not going to be heading a lot of balls, because these teams pass the ball out from the back, they don't go long, they work set plays, whereas I think this particular game against Salford, there might be a little bit more natural mix, a bit more the physical side of it, which is perfectly fine, because there's a lot of teams at our level at one stage of the season that will play with a little bit more physicality, a bit more manly, a little bit more aggression, for more physical challenges, more set plays, more balls coming in our box that we're going to have to deal with. But I'm sure that'll bring the best out of the likes of Hogs, Stotty and Ash Palmer, and at the other end we're going to have to work really hard to create clever opportunities against them. But different type of challenge, but we're looking forward to it, and then we just take stock, ignore results, just see where we're at. I think the report we're doing at the moment, I think we'll be really pleased about how people have come after 4 or 5 weeks of part-time training. You think you're a little bit further along, but they haven't had 4 weeks off, they've had 4 months off, so we have to treat them all as if they've all been long-term injuries, really, to make sure the muscle strength comes back. But yeah, I think no matter what happens on Tuesday, we'll be pleased with what we've done and about how we're going to start then after the bank holiday weekend in terms of ramping up towards the week later, say for September, we see the fixtures, so you're starting then to sharpen your eye on what you're going to be playing, what kind of tactics. But I think my players would like just from the games just to have a bit more ownership of the ball, a bit more feeling that they're playing football, and a little bit more opportunities to score. So we've set about what we're going to do today to give them that opportunity, and like I said, we might do 60s and 30s if we feel that's appropriate. Just another step in the progress that we're looking for. But I'd like to think that when we see the game, that we'll have been tested and come up okay, and we'll have been a little bit better in possession and a little bit better organised for when the problems that other teams are causing us, rather than just sitting back and being scared about how to stop them playing. But like I said, we're looking forward to tomorrow, because I think everybody wants to get back on that Edgeley Park turf and just play football, because that's what all footballers want to do, is play on the big stadiums and play matches against teams from a higher level. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.